Good.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns, broadcasting the Skyward Sword Talk to Yerbal Tournament 2021. This is the final matchup of the group stage. We have Jasnix08 versus Exto, and Tato ISR versus 64-bit Link. This is a simulcast, basically. They're racing at the same time, but it's just the two pairings. So whoever wins first of each pairing moves on to the bracket stage. Commentating for us, we have KitKat and Thraelyad. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we have very interesting races coming on. This is basically the group stage we've done double elimination. So all of these people have lost at least once. These are all actually rematches from so like Jasnix and Exto have played each other before, and Tato and 64-bit have also played each other before. The way those went, it was Jasnix won his match and Tato won his match. But I think there's like no saying how this is going to go, considering that this is basically going to be a very interesting match in a way that like that's what I was going to say. Yeah, basically whoever loses the match here will basically be eliminated, and whoever wins will go on to the single elimination bracket, where either Exto or Jasnix will have to face me. That was something. Yeah, sorry. Either Jasnix or Exto will have to face me, and Tato or 64-bit will have to face Thray. So, because we're both in the single elimination bracket. So I think this is definitely everything to play for here.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting race, and the runners are all pretty evenly matched, so it should be a good show.
Yeah, like I believe Exto was actually like seeded higher than Jasnix, but he ended up taking that in probably the only upset so far, which is very surprising. I don't expect there to be more.
Yeah,
this is Yerbal, but yeah,
that was a wild race.
That was a wild race, yeah. So yeah, this is going to be absolutely incredible. Yeah, no telling what's going to happen. And yeah, we're just about to get started. So I think all runners are on English, I believe. No JP runners.
I think so.
SMH.
Yeah, I think so. So there's not going to be any weird discrepancies with dialogue, someone getting ahead and then falling behind an ancient cistern, like that would be for English versus JP.
Yeah. Like these are all like even. There's no like differences and stuff. So yeah.
So we should talk about the differences in the refs.
Yeah. Because we both run JP, I think. So
yeah,
it'll definitely be relevant in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, you can explain
so English.
Okay, you.
Yeah. English 1.0 has a version exclusive glitch where in Ancient Cistern there's a 1-pixel seam, which basically it lets you complete the dungeon way faster than any other version. But Japanese doesn't have that seam, so it has to do a really hard trick that we'll be seeing later. And but Japanese also has faster dialogue, so all in all, Japanese is about 30 seconds faster, which isn't actually a lot, but it's also a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and as I think we all went with my like me versus CJ race, where it's like I failed the break side like twice. I still won that, but it was much closer than people would have thought.
Yeah.
So it's again, JP is technically faster. So if everyone plays their best, JP runner would probably come up on top. Assuming it's not like a huge difference in skill level. But if but again, it is much harder. So it's like high risk, high reward.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to lose 30 seconds anywhere.
Yeah.
Or 4 minutes.
That's also pretty easy. Again, this is Yerbal, and one small mistake can lose you that much time. It's insane. So anyway, we now have a killing post because it kills the link or it kills the run. I am forced to say that because that's a joke that people say. Okay, so basically these ones can start off by killing themselves. This is not just for the memes, this is for the glitches, and the main glitch in this game is back in time, and there's a lot you can do with it. So all of these runners being decent at a killing post and not missing it. Couldn't be me, but yeah, they're all dead basically. So now I'm going to continue and reset the console. Most runners will do it with the reset button. You can do it with the home menu, but it's slower. So unless you're doing like Wii U or emulator strats, there's no point. And now we're playing on title screen, and there's a lot we can do with this. And this also introduces like sort of like moving around with like the title screen on, so it kind of has like menuing and also movement combined basically. So it's very interesting in a race setting, I think.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure to not mess up during back in time.
Yeah, because messing up in back in times is like often where the race is lost in most cases.
Yeah.
So
what we're doing here is bit saving file 2, which saves it file 2 onto the title screen layer. And a weird quirk of the title screen layer is that the entrance to the goddess statue is always open, which lets us get the goddess sword way earlier than intended. But we'll be doing that later after we start our file. And what we're doing here is we're going to get the sword, but that's just so that we can raise the pedestal and then place the emerald tablet, so we can get the emerald tablet early on our file, which lets us get to Farron earlier than intended.
Yeah, and this is like basically a way of getting off Skyloft early. It's pretty cool. We skip all like the stuff, basically. And this is like the most basic level of back in time. So if you understand this, then good for you. If you don't, well, have fun trying to figure out the rest of the game.
Yeah. And all of Skyloft is basically a setup to allow us to get to Farron in back in time, because this route needs a lot of it needs to access Farron a lot in back in time, so we have to do that.
Yeah. Right, so yeah. Oh my god, Jasnix writing yo good luck. Oh my god, just guys, stop! It's just bullying at this point. It's not funny. Okay, no, but seriously,
And what we're going to do here is, you'll see the light pillar start to form, and then we start our file right before the value for the light pillar is actually applied to the game, and that puts the light pillar onto our file.
Yeah, it's like this sort of like scene flag manipulation almost, where you take the scene flags from back in time and we apply them to our files, which makes a lot of crazy stuff happen.
Except this is with story flags, which are just global. So.
Yeah, story flags are just story flag. Like they're the same thing. Like they can't be like for example, you can't do action A in back in time and action B takes place like on the file like you do in scene flags. In story flags, it's just action A means the action A in on the files. It's like the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, now these players are getting the goddess sword because the goddess sword didn't transfer. Like the scene flag of getting the goddess sword didn't transfer from back in time, so we have to get that normally. And a good thing about bit saving onto the back in time Skylift is that we can just get this goddess sword right here, so we don't have to get like the practice sword and stuff.
And another thing we haven't talked about, these runs are all done on hero mode, which lets you skip cutscenes, which is very important. And it also lets us take double damage so we can die faster.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of advantages to hero mode specifically, so I see all the runners playing on that. You'd be stupid to run this in
normal mode.
Yeah, normal mode. Why would you do that? There's like a whole category of any percent normal mode, which is very, very unpopular. It's run by like one person, or one person's done a run of it, and it's like 4 hours or something. I do actually plan on doing a run of that eventually, but I've got a lot of things to do before that. But anyway, these guys are just gonna do the rest of the Skyloft up until like the wing ceremony normally. So
yeah. So first off, we have to meet Zelda and then meet Groose, and this lets us meeting Groose just lets us rescue our Loftwing, because it talks about how Groose stole our Loftwing. And now we can go on over to the waterfall cave and then go get our Loftwing.
Yeah, so yeah, so there's like a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff we have to do, like talk to Groose, go to the waterfall, do this, that, and the other. So this definitely is a very good test of like the runner's movement going from A to B to C to D and stuff.
Yeah, so, Skyloft is very movement heavy.
Yeah. There's like not much combat.
Yeah. I mean, this run doesn't even have that much combat anyway. It has like a few bokoblins.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think the combat's really good though, because it's like motion based. That's actually decent. I mean, it's bad if you don't know what you're doing, but it's good if you like know how to avoid all the errors and you actually are coordinated with your swings. But yeah.
Yeah, combat's pretty fun in this game.
Oh yeah.
And so we're just taking 4 hearts of damage here so that we can activate back in time easier later on.
Yeah, I know all the runners are doing that fairly quickly. It's like they're not like wasting any time doing it by like standing still. They're doing like the fast strats with all the things. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. And now we have a cutscene with Zelda, and we need to save specifically after this cutscene and before rescuing our Loftwing, because we need a file that hasn't rescued the Loftwing for a very complicated setup that we'll see soon.
Yeah.
So we're going to, you'll see them save and quit their file, and then copy it to a different slot.
Yeah, so just like because the current file 2 has useful properties that we're going to take advantage of later. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, and copying doesn't really test anything. It's just you press the plus button, you point at the screen, you press the A button. That's about it.
Yeah.
A true test of skill, I might add. No, it's not. What is though is cage break. It's kind of precise to do quickly anyway. It's like
cage break might look easy, but it is definitely not trivial.
Yeah, it's like and then there's Jasnix who just does it like virtually, like optimally.
Yeah, Jasnix got flawless cage break there.
Yeah. And Tado almost does it, just messing up the end. And Exto, it's like these runners are making it much easier. It look much easier than it actually is. It's like if you try to do the fast strat, you'll probably fail it in every way imaginable. Totally not speaking from experience here. But yeah.
And now we just have this Loftwing tutorial, which is an auto-scroller. Basically, the only thing you can do is clear the text boxes and flap twice, and then you've done the tutorial.
Yeah, that's about it.
So just have to do that.
As it kind of is the Wing Zone cutscene skip, it's a 2-frame side hop with no visual or audio cue. I'm put asterisk there because Tado has made his own self-made audio cue, but I'll get onto that later. It's like some players like to mash for it, some players like to time it. I like to double tap it, which is virtually the same as timing, and that works for me. And then there's Tado that likes to play the Skyloft theme and taps it to the beat of that, which I mean works. I guess I've never tried it because it's like what was that?
It works almost every time for him.
Yeah.
I just time it though.
Yeah. It's like if you have the muscle memory, then it's just faster to time it. Because the problem with this strat is that you have to save and quit and then cancel. If he finds a way that does it with like the saving option, I'd probably do that one because you wouldn't lose any time.
That's unfortunate. Jasnix, he got the skip, but he pressed A again, and so he jumped right back into the trigger. Yeah. And looks like Tado got it first try.
Exo failed it, so yeah. I mean, the Skyloft theme works for him, so I mean, booyah. But yeah, both Jasnix and Exo failed it, so they're not at any disadvantage. He started file 2 again. Yeah, I could see he pressed the home button like, oh wait, this is wrong. But 64 needs to get his other, and he doesn't, which means he's at a somewhat disadvantaged position to Tado. That's how you English correct it, yeah.
And yeah, failing this trick loses you about a minute and a half or so, a little less. But because we have to go activate back in time, specifically after saving in that save prompt, and unfortunately we can't activate back in time in this waterfall cave.
Yeah.
So we have to go all the way through the cave, all the way to Skyloft, and then jump off of a cliff.
Yeah. If you could do it in the cave,
which is really
slow. Lose like 10 seconds, but now it loses like 90 because we can't do it in the thing. Which I kind of prefer because it's like much more of a penalty for failing something that is completely skill based, but that's just me. Now we see Tado doing the Sky RBW. It's not precise. It's just you have to make sure you know what you're doing and not make sure you're not Exto Dasher and just do it correctly.
Yeah. So what we did here is we copied file 3, the file that we copied earlier, to file 1 with a trick called file duping, and then we reverse bitwarp that file into the sky. It's very complicated, and I'm not going to try to explain it here.
Yeah, it's like you copy file properties from like one file to another, and it's a bunch of stuff we don't need to get into right now.
Yeah, but the point is, we need to reverse bitwarp it into the normal file, get this fee text so that we can dive off of our Loftwing, and then we have to go die and do a death warp which because the file is still saved before the Loftwing, and then we can go actually rescue our Loftwing because our Loftwing isn't technically rescued, and that will give us the Loftwing tutorial, which is the only layer of the sky that doesn't crash in back in time, and we need to go to the sky and back in time to get the Farron back in time.
I feel like Jasnix is having
crazy setup.
Jasnix is doing something very interesting with this. We'll see if it works. I'll put it that way. But yeah, Exto is doing a thing. Itado's in the lead of all these 4 runners because he got a cutscene skip, and he's dead.
Yes.
That is on purpose.
Yeah, we are doing a death warp here.
Okay, Jasnix did it correctly. I just wasn't really. I was like half paying attention to the screen, so I wasn't quite sure I was doing anything wrong. But yeah.
He did get a heart though, which was interesting.
Yeah, that was weird.
Alright, and Jasnix successfully reverse bit warping into the sky. Exto doing the same thing as well, so looks like those 2 runners are good.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Tado getting a pretty good cage break the second time.
Yeah,
and
because you know what's better than 1 cage break? 2.
2.
He says in a very sad tone.
And looks like 64 got it as well, so all of our runners are good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now we just need to flap up on our Loftwing and dive to Farron after taking some fall damage, so we can activate back in time faster.
Yeah, fall damage isn't necessarily required here exactly, but it is much faster than just jumping
way
down
faster.
the pit. It's way faster, yeah. If you do miss Isn't the Underworld, just as long as you actually get into the pillar itself.
Yep.
So Exto dying, 64-bit leg dying now. Jasnix cage breaking or done doing that, and Tado going into the Farron pillar.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, give me a second. I need to get some water. I'll be right back.
Okay. So now that we have Farron back in time set up, the first thing we're going to do when we get into Farron is, of course, save and then die and then go to Farron and back in time to skip the sealed grounds because it's slightly faster. And the weird property of not having the hero's clothes, the tunic, is that you can't actually get into the sealed temple. So we actually have to skip it, otherwise we just wouldn't be able to progress. And what you'll see Tado doing here is bit saving his file so that his story flags in back in time are updated, so he can call his Loftwing in back in time, and then diving off, calling his Loftwing, and entering with the correct file that has the tutorial layer of the sky, so that the sky doesn't crash. And then he'll be diving into the Farron pillar in back in time.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. I just explained that we're going to skip the sealed grounds.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so now it looks like 64-bit is just going into Farron. Exo's already here. Looks like Jasnix is starting the RBM and Tado's on his way to just doing it. Or he's in the middle of it. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
This is kind of like, again, this is all mostly like movement combined with menuing. It's like stuff.
Yeah.
Basically. It's a good test of that. And we'll of course see like the tricks this game has to, this category has to offer later. Although English doesn't have that many hard tricks. There's like, unlike JP has break sliding, this one doesn't really have, has some scary RBMs, but nothing else.
RBWs.
Okay, shut up.
One RBM.
Yeah, you're right, but okay. Just shut up.
And it looks like Tato successfully got a trick called log jump, which saves like 2 seconds. You just skip pushing a log and jump off of it instead. And now we need to turn the camera around to avoid a soft lock that happens with a specific flag in Farron. It starts a cutscene, and if the cutscene plays twice, you soft lock, which would obviously be bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
And even just getting it once, that's slow.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so now I think Tado just entering the kick creep quest, which is huge on movement. It's like that's all you do. You just run around Farron for like 15 minutes. It's like what, like a quarter of the run, a third of the run. It's like,
Well, it's like 8 minutes or so.
yeah, it's like very chill. I'll be honest. It's a very chill part of the
Yeah,
run.
it's a lot more. Yeah, you go from all the intense setup on Skyloft with cutscene skip, Sky RBW, and then you just run around Farron.
Yeah, it's much more like how old 80% was, except this is like just about like a 10-minute snippet of it, and it's like it's basically how Nobit is now. How Nobit is now. Because Nobit is very chill because you just run around for like 6 hours and just keep running until you beat the game. That's Nobit.
It's basically a casual playthrough.
Yeah, but fast, and with like a few small things like Temple of Time skip and early Lake 4. Just like, except for those things, it's like basically casual. Yeah.
Yeah, this game actually doesn't have very many very many broken things, except for back in time.
Yeah, because like when you strip away, because like again the 80% is about an hour and a half, but no back in time is over 6 hours, which is just how much back in time saves. And old 80%, which still had the bit warps and bit saves, I was still only 5 hours. So all like the RBMs and the RBWs really end up saving a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, all the runners basically entering Kick Request. Jasnix is ahead of Exto, Tado is ahead of 64-bit. This is still a close race, especially between Jasnix and Exto.
Yeah, Jasnix and Exto are very close.
Yeah, like personally, I'm rooting for Exto. I'd like to see him in the SE bracket, although that would make it harder for me because he'd be my opponent, and that is just scary. Exto in the semi-finals, that's Monka S. But, I'd be rooting for him, even though as commentator you should say neutral. So forget what I said. No. Okay, so basically, I keep thinking the streams are frozen, but I'm just pausing them. I'm done.
Yeah, all the runners now are just doing Geek Request, and we have to do all this movement and stuff all to get a single item, which is the slingshot.
Yeah, and who found these skips? Gymnast86 was the guy who basically discovered reverse bit magical, like the big technique of back in time. That was Gymnast86.
But all the efforts from all the glitch hunters to document the flags and all that, that's just gone on over years.
Yeah, it was like a huge community effort to like document all like different iterations of this technique. But the main founder of the technique was Gymnast86.
Yeah.
And then like how back in time came to be, that was like again a community effort of like someone discovering it, then discovering that
well, back in time was discovered randomly.
Yeah, it was though. Yeah.
Some dude just randomly reset. It was
like, yeah.
And Tato got a little visual glitch, which is just a glitch stamina wheel. It happens when you roll out of a cutscene, I think frame perfectly, when you entered the cutscene with no stamina. So basically it means you did something awesomely. Yeah,
it's like pretty cool. It doesn't add anything to your run, it just lets you know that hey, you're actually decent and frame perfect.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And now, because we're also playing in hero mode, the Skyward Strike does the damage of what's normally the true Master Sword in normal mode. So we can just kill those bokoblins with one Skyward Strike just by lining them up. So that's really nice to do.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for someone to get lobster roll in like a run. Wait, not in a run, in a race or something, because people have done it in a run. Talo did it
I
quite
think
recently.
Pepper got it in a random.
Oh yeah,
race.
Pepper got it like a rando race, not race, run. It was like just rando stuff.
Well, lobster roll is a frame perfect trick where you can bonk this Kikwi down early, but it only saves like around a second or a half a second because you still have to talk to the Kikwi and everything. It just skips like a single cutscene.
Yeah, it's kind of been a meme in the community of like, oh, will we get it? Yeah, I'm honestly interested to see if I could get it by like physically timing it, not just luck.
Like
I'm
actually
seeing...
practicing it.
Yeah. Because I practiced lily pad skip. You think I'd like practice this? Hell yeah.
Well, lily pad skip was actually important.
That is true though. It saved like
Anyway.
it saved like 30 seconds in a two and a half hour run, assuming you did it like perfectly.
That's true.
So I mean, it was important, yes, but it was crazy to go for. Also, very yes. Really bad skip. That was like that was a great moment in the 80% for like a month or so. Then early boss rush
Like
kind of destroyed the dream of early cat
Oh,
skip.
Exto getting a perfect bokoblin fight there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not going for lobster roll, so his run is basically dead, and he should probably just forfeit. Oh, never mind.
That wasn't lobster roll. That was after.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
yeah.
I was sort of thinking. I was like, oh, nice. Like it looks too normal for it to be the lobster roll.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. So 64-bit Link just going around doing stuff. Everyone's got talking to Kikwis right now. This is pretty decent.
Vine there.
Totally never not failed that Vine. Couldn't be me. Yeah, but
I
now
think
we're
I've
just...
only failed it like once.
I'm like embarrassed to say how many times I failed it, but I mean... Shush. But yeah, all run is just doing movement-based stuff. This part is like a huge test of your movement. If it's good, you'll probably gain a lead here.
Yes. Saving a few frames here and there definitely adds up.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing actually we haven't talked about is stamina management. In Skyward Sword, we have a stamina meter, and the stamina wheel, when it's in the last quarter, it depletes half as fast, but it regenerates at the same speed. So if we ever have to empty our stamina wheel, we want to just barely not empty it, because that loses our stamina and that's slow. And then we want to keep it in that last quarter, because it is way better.
Yeah, pretty much. It's much more different from other Zelda. Even Breath of the Wild, which has a stamina meter, but it's basically reductant because you've got whistle sprinting. But in this game, there is no such thing as whistle sprinting. So, and it's much more different from Wind Waker and Twilight Princess because you don't just tap the roll button every time you want to go somewhere. You actually have to keep on stamina, and it's like eventually it'll just it becomes second nature and just like muscle memory with Skyward Sword movement. But it's like it is different. So.
And yeah, you want to manage your stamina so that you like go into a cutscene or enter a loading zone with as low stamina as possible. Yeah,
to get like the most use out of it. So yeah, just basically save as much time as possible with it. So Taro now getting the slingshot, so he'll be the first out to Skyview. We'll just be entering Skyview. We won't be completing it. We'll just enter and then leave again. That's basically all we do. He is like 22 seconds behind PB, which is pretty decent pace for a run.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like, but like PBing in like a race is definitely especially hard because there's like no reset factor.
Getting a world record in a race is also pretty hard.
That is pretty hard. See, the joke there was that I got a world record last race. Dude, what keeps jumping? Okay, it's just for a bit, Link getting the awkward Kikwi, so,
Yeah, it loses a little bit of time because
I-
Erla likes to hide in grass.
I don't get Erla, right? Because sometimes Erla's like in the center, but sometimes sometimes Erla's just like right to like the right side. Like, why does that
Yeah.
happen?
Also, sometimes you'll cut all the grass with 2 Skyward Strikes, which is perfect, and then you just leave a single blade of grass, and then she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go hide in this single blade of grass, and then you lose like 10 seconds.
It's very annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Jasnix and Exto are virtually neck and neck, and they're both on English, so they don't have any stupidly hard things to
Oh
do.
wow. Yeah,
like-
they're like seconds.
Yeah,
next to each
64
other.
Billing just holding a little bit behind, but there's still a lot of time to catch up, I think.
Yeah.
And again, both
So,
of these are both of these are rematches. Like Jasnix versus Exto was like our first match, and Jasnix ended up pulling that one out.
Yeah. So now you'll see a trick, or you might see a trick called Extending Blow, which skips a bunch of movement in the deep woods. But it's unfortunately RNG based, so we might not even see it at all in this race.
Yeah, that didn't look
Tato
good on
getting-
hard, yeah.
Yeah, the distance the Bokoblin is launched is random, so it doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
But basically how it works is if the Bokoblin lands perfectly on a seam, the game deletes its coordinates and instead warps you to the origin of the map, and so you go flying really far. And the origin of the map is conveniently right where we want to go, which is Skyview Temple.
Yeah, it's like right in front of Skyview, which is incredibly convenient, especially considering that most origin points of like all other maps are like somewhere out of bounds
Out
or
of
somewhere
bounds,
really
yeah.
completely useless. Yeah.
And the backup for Extending Blow is a trick called Cube Warp, where you use the better Skyward Strike and the Bokoblin to angle it so that you hit this Goddess Cube, and that warps you to that Goron up there because the cutscene just places Link's position there. So that loses time, but it's faster than going through the deep woods normally, so we do it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Jasnix
um,
getting it. So
Jasnix getting Extending Blow. Extending Blow saves more time on English because on Japanese the text is faster, so it's actually
Yeah.
more helpful to get it on an English run.
Exo
Exto
missing it.
failing it, so Jasnix is definitely taking the lead now.
Yeah, they're both on English, so they don't have any different like time losses because the time loss timer is different depending on the version. Basically, because of either language and like different route route, same thing, different like routing stuff.
So we'll know who's ahead basically at all times.
Yeah,
And
so
now,
Jasnix right now is definitely ahead.
Jasnix, it looks weird because we entered Skyview Temple and then just immediately left. But the reason we do that is we need the scene flag 2x20, which is the scene flag for the Skyview crystal being hit. And hitting that crystal just starts the cutscenes to enter Skyview.
Yeah, it's
And,
weird, but just go with it. It's like
Yeah.
it's standard back in time. Makes no sense.
The reason we need that scene flag is because we will activate back in time right after doing this, and then that scene flag starts a cutscene on Skyloft to open the Thunderhead, and so if we start our file right before that cutscene starts, we can get the Thunderhead onto our file early, and we need the Thunderhead to get the song to go to the Farron trial, which has the Water Dragon scale, so getting it early is very nice.
Mm.
And now we're just gonna die and do that back in time. And you'll see Tato select his file 1, which has the scene flag, and then file 2, he'll start right before the cutscene starts, and then you can just he started it very early, but you could just barely see the cutscene happen.
Yeah, if you can see it, then it
Skyloft.
should have been fine. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be fine for him.
same thing with Jasnix. It was pretty early, but I could see the cutscene, so it's fine.
Yeah.
64-bit. Oh, 64-bit
Oh.
getting it. That was a weird.
That was the most interesting extending blow I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can't tell if that was by accident or on purpose, because it looked like he was going to do something else, but then he just did that.
It looks like he just moved a little too far left. That was crazy.
I mean, it works. It works out. So
It worked. Yeah, that was cool.
yeah, I've never seen anyone do an extending blow into the fly cuts, and that's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Like, I mean, this is Yerbal, so you're meant to do the fight. You have to do the fight cutscene anyway. But most of this happens like
Right.
something like, say, no bit, where you don't have to read this cutscene.
Yeah, that would actually be an unfortunate time loss, but it's fine.
Would. But we're on
So
Yerbal,
now,
so that's fine.
Tato and Jasnix are both really close to each other, but they're not the same race. And anyway, what we're going to do here is go to the Thunderhead, and the Thunderhead occasionally spawns tornadoes, which put you off of your loft wing and do damage. But because of the weird file setup that we have here, if we get into a tornado twice, first what will happen is we'll die and then we'll have to do all the flying again because we'll just come out of the Farron pillar again. But if it gets twice, we soft lock and then have to do the early Thunderhead all over again, which is a pretty bad time loss. But it looks like Tato and Jasnix made it with no tornadoes, which is good.
Yeah, they're both. Yeah, and it's like if you go in a very specific way, you can kind of sort of manipulate the tornadoes. God, I'm good at speaking. Yeah, tornadoes. You can manipulate those if you fly into the thing in a very specific way.
Yeah. Now we just need to go to the Isle of Songs, do this puzzle, and then get the song for the Farron Trial.
Yeah, and this is all important because we need the scale to get into the ancient system, which is required.
We should actually probably talk about the end goal of the route. Basically, what we have to do is we have to talk to Yerbal, and the fast way we can do that is by reverse bit warping into the Great Tree using a statue from the ancient system. And how reverse bit warps work is your file is saved somewhere, and then you enter an area and back in time after starting your file, and then you enter that area on your file, but it applies the coordinates of your file to that area, so it can let you go to somewhere way different than you're supposed to be. And if we use the statue in the ancient cistern, we can go almost to the very top of the Great Tree, which lets us skip doing a whole bunch of stuff, because normally we need the Gust Bellows to scale the Great Tree, or the Claw Shots.
Yeah.
But we can do that. And so we need to get into the ancient cistern to actually get that statue. And to get into the ancient cistern and get to that statue, we need the Water Dragon scale. And to get the Water Dragon scale, we need to do the Farron Trial, which is what we'll be doing right now.
Yeah. And so yeah, you just saw Jasnix. He got like a cutscene skip, which skipped like a cutscene.
Yeah, it saves not very much time. Like,
yeah, it says like 4
3
seconds. Yeah. Now someone in chat put it. You rice warp to Yerbal. I understand where like the ICE of the rice warp came. What happened to the R? Like the how did that come in? Because I get the ICE is like incorrect code executed, but where? Yeah.
Well, it's just reverse. It's a ice warp with a bit warp, and it's just
okay. Yeah. I didn't watch the thing happen like when all these memes were created because it was like 3 a.m. for me. So.
You should have been there. You should have not slept.
Listen, I was no sleep gang when it mattered. Okay.
Oh yes. Your 24-hour any% run.
That was an experience, I will say. That 24 hours was definitely an experience. Okay, no. But anyway, back to whatever the hell is happening on everyone's screen right now. We've got Jasnix doing. I think this is the Farron Trial RBW. Exto's hot on his tail. Tato's doing the same thing as Jasnix, but just a bit front, and 64-bit is just in the Isle of Songs doing the puzzle. Pretty much, so this is probably the most complex iteration of reverse bit warping. I got it right this time. RBM that you will see. So if you understand this,
RBM again.
No, I did. No one cleared that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is. Yeah. If you understand this, then you'll understand. Basically everything. Back in time.
Yeah. There's a bunch of complicated stuff going on, but basically, what we're doing is we bit saved a file, and that let us fly on our loft wing, and then we flew into the sky and back in time with a file that has the tutorial layer. So that we can get into the Farron pillar, and then we enter the Farron pillar with a file that's never been to the Farron pillar, because otherwise it would crash. Because if you've been to Farron, then it pulls up the statue selection screen, and the statue selection screen just crashes in back in time.
It's weird because anything to do with like maps or anything and back in time just crashes. It's weird.
So we just have to avoid that.
Yeah,
and
like maps crash,
enter...
statue maps crash. Yeah.
Yeah, we enter the sealed grounds, and then one thing we didn't mention earlier is that we talked to Fledge at the beginning of the run, and that sets the scene flag for that log right there that Jasnix just lowered to be pushed down. So that lets us access behind the temple way faster than actually going through the sealed temple itself.
Yeah.
And then we just are going to enter Farron Woods, and there's an interesting thing that happens where you enter behind the temple with a file that doesn't have the slingshot, and Farron with a file that does. It teleports you to the Kiku Elder because of some weird, confusing things.
Yeah.
And that just saves a little bit
weird.
of time in this category because you can get to where you want to go faster.
Yeah, it's much more convenient than running to the place.
And what we're going to do here is a bunch of complicated stuff, but basically we need to reload this area with the right scene flags and files selected and stuff. So first what we do is select the statue and bit save file 1 because we're going to be reverse bit warping into the trial, the Farron trial. And we're going to do a bunch of complicated back in time stuff here. Basically we're going to die to the Bokoblin when we have file 2 selected, and file 2 has the it has the story flag for the Farron trial to be able to be opened because it has the song itself. So we're gonna die on that, and that reloads the area with the Farron trial to be open. And also we have to do some complicated file shenanigans, just copying some files because this is the most convenient time in the route to do it.
Yeah.
So
I'm not entirely familiar with the copying here on English 1.0, but I know it's different from Japanese, I think. So Todo's just going into the trial.
Yeah, we just have to do some copies because it's the most convenient time to do it, which adds a layer of complexity to this. Because you already have to die and back in time, it's just weird. And there's a lot of times you could fail it, and because of the copies, if you lose the file that has the trial song on it, you'll lose a ton of time.
Yeah, it's huge.
But it looks like Todo successfully reverse bit warped in the trial, and it looks like Jasnix did the same.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the confirmation that he's actually in it.
Right.
So Jasnix is fine, so there's pressure on Exto and 64 Building to both do it correctly. If they don't do it correctly, they are basically out of the tournament, because at this point, it's almost entirely single elimination, basically.
Yeah.
Even though we're still in the double elimination, but this is like the only thing is double elimination left is like the losers brackets.
Yeah. And so the reason we spawned up there instead of at the normal trial entrance is because we saved file 1 to be up by that statue, and then we entered the trial and then started our file, which is a reverse bit warp with those coordinates. So we just started up there.
Okay, Todo having a little bit of problem with his with the Farron trial. He's kind of locked in this endless state of the waking water, which you can get out of just one frame hop each time.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that has to do with reverse bit warping into the trial. You'll notice the Guardians didn't activate at all, and he was just stuck there. We think that's because you just don't ever watch the fee text or leave the circle that wakes up the Guardians normally. It's just a weird state where you can't really get caught. So, and if you don't get caught though, if you don't ever like make them alerted in quotes, you'll soft lock at the end, which we call the CJ soft lock, because O'Reilly and CJ did that in a race, which lost him like a ton of time. And it's just really, really bad.
Yeah.
So we just have to get caught. And then the rest of the trial is just a bunch of movement.
Yeah, this is like it's actually it's kind of I've always kind of seen that like Yerbal is kind of a category of skill, but actually it's mostly kind of movement because it has a lot of just kind of I mean more towards the end it is more about like reverse bit warps and stuff. I said the right thing this time. And I guess on Japanese, it's like basically about like brake sliding and stuff at a very pivotal moment. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tado, stop stepping on the coffee. Yeah, it's like
The coffee. The white and red and purple coffee.
who the hell has a coffee that color?
I don't know. I guess it wakes them up. And yeah, Exo did not fail the reverse bit warp into the sky, very surprisingly. Ah, yes, KitKat, you got clipped when you asked to
Oh,
be,
okay, yeah. Cool.
You're welcome. I hope you
Okay,
enjoy
well,
that.
Okay, let's go back to the race. Okay, I think 64-bit is done, so I don't know if you say anything about this, but I just noticed. No, 64-bit link.
Yeah, the trial gate didn't appear after he copied, and so, yeah, he copied the file, so he doesn't have the song that lets the trial be opened, so that will lose a ton of time.
Wow.
And
Okay,
there's almost
yeah.
no way to recover for him anymore.
There's like,
so-
I know there's a setup somewhere, but I don't know it. B, it's
You basically have to
incredibly tedious.
redo like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you might as well just lose the race at this point. So assuming Tado finishes this, he will be against you three in the semi-finals.
Yep.
And that means 64-bit Link would be eliminated from the tournament.
Yes, because this is loser's bracket.
Yeah, virtually. Okay, so yeah.
Well, I know Jasnix versus Exto is loser's bracket.
Yeah, they're both losers bracket. Yeah, so this is
Okay,
this is virtually single elimination at this point. This tournament.
yeah, pretty much.
Because all the winners bracket matches have happened, and my internet's going crazy. Great. But yeah. So from now on, it's if you lose a match, you are out, which I think is great because it's like there's no safety net, so there's much more pressure, there's much more nerves, and it's like we get to see a lot more runners perform under pressure, and it's cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of why I like propose this idea in the first place, is because I feel like they're having like for example, double elimination throughout. Like if you're in the winners bracket, you're normally kind of a little bit more chill about things, but removing that safety net like halfway through the tournament immediately like makes it that like you have to perform under pressure every single time, which is
I mean, there are only
more...
going to be 3 total matches in the single elimination bracket.
Yeah. But that's mainly because it's a small tournament. Like, so say in the Skyward randomizer, I believe Skyward randomizer is going to be single elimination at the end. Although I'm not quite, could be double elimination. But if it was like single elimination, there'll be many more matches because there's like 24 people in that, which is going to be hype.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't actually know if it'll be single elimination or double. I'm assuming single from what I've seen, but I could be completely wrong. And 64-bit Link is, I believe, in the commentary. So hi.
Hi. Yeah. So
Hello.
there was when I did the death for the trial RBW, at like literally the very end, I accidentally selected another file, so that got the trial gate.
What a sad way to lose a race, I must say.
That's unfortunate.
What a sad, yeah.
Else correctly, and then because of that, and I had already copied over the file with the with Ferrari's courage on, so there was the only way to recover was to like redo everything after like.
Yeah, you'd have to go fly back to the Thunderhead.
Yeah, and yeah.
Okay, so now you see everyone doing the Ancient and RBW. If you're familiar with the Japanese rank, you might have noticed something different. A lot of the runners just went to the viewing platform section and did that because they don't have to worry about specific positions because they have system clip, which we'll see later, and is exclusive to English 1.0 in the North American release. So, not like EU, not like PAL. So, I couldn't do this, even though I'm pretty sure I have 1.0 PAL. I still have to run JP whether I like it or not.
Yeah, and basically the reason we actually have to go here and back in time is because when you've completed the Farron trial, but you haven't healed the water dragon, which obviously we don't do, there's a waterfall in your way, which blocks the path to Ancient Cistern. But if you enter with the right file and back in time, the waterfall just isn't there. So we can
Yeah.
enter, and then Jasnix entered successfully. So we just save immediately, and then we can go do Ancient Cistern.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, we'll see all these runners doing system clip, which as Jasnix demonstrating now, is basically just an out of bounds sort of thing. Where you basically clip
You
out of
run
bounds.
up along this seam.
Yeah. Yeah, you run up along it, you
And
clip
there
out
is-
of bounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have to do a death warp to refill us back to 6 hearts because Cistern Clip takes 2 hearts because it just barely deals fall damage to you.
Yeah, just barely, but
So-
it still does.
Oh, he almost exited Ancient Cistern. So now we just have to clip, and then we can go get the whip, I believe, first.
Hmm.
So the out of bounds movement here is pretty tricky. Even if you're holding Z like you can normally to not fall off of a ledge, you'll still fall off, and so you can waste a lot of time voiding out. There's also a rare potential to actually soft block, but we saved before this, so it's fine.
Yeah, and both these, all these runners are going to get the whip first. Again, on the Japanese route, because there is no system clip, you are forced to get the whip pretty much as your last item. But for these runners, it's like your first item, so yeah.
Yeah, this is where English saves all the time against JP.
Oh yeah, because like doing system clip, removing the language and stuff, system clip is significantly faster and more efficient way of doing system. Because in JP, you get, as people know, if you follow it, you'll have to get like a small key and stuff, and it's much less efficient.
Yeah.
Okay, all the runners are going to be activating Janon.
Oh yes, all the runners did agree to activate Janon voluntarily,
which is the
so that was not a
Stone
mistake.
Because that's his name now, apparently.
Yep. Well, her. Janon is a female name.
Oh yeah. Don't be like me and assume genders, kids. I'm sorry, I will now be murdered by just about everyone around me.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay, now we have some jammin' music with Janon. And Tato going back into the, or that was Jasnix, sorry. Going back into the waterfall a bunch, like a little geyser.
Yeah.
And the next step in the Ancient Cistern route is to go get the boss key, and we still have the very groovy music going on because we activated Janon. So we can get some epic music for this Cistern clip.
Yeah, and very epic music.
Yeah, the mini boss theme is pretty good.
So yeah, basically, yeah, Jasnix and Exto are both each other quite hot in their tails. So this is
Yeah,
still a
they're
very
pretty
interesting race because a lot can happen. There's a lot.
If one of
there's a
them
lot can go
fails
wrong,
the Great Tree Reverse Pit Warp,
and
then
yeah, this is
that will
this is
decide the
quite
race.
the race between these guys. And again, this is all for like who will proceed into the tournament and who will be eliminated. I don't know what Exo's doing. I think he thinks he is the boss key, but he doesn't. He's going to realize it. Yeah, I can almost hear him going, "Oh, shit!"
No!
And yeah, he's got to get the boss key.
That's. He's gonna have to. Oh, he's gonna have to death warp as well.
I was afraid he was going to drop down another layer, but he didn't, so that's pretty cool. Because if he would have to like get like a small key. Well, he'll just lose time because he could like, of course, come back up, but he doesn't lose time, which is nice.
He has to death warp now. Because he took 2 hearts of damage.
So he's gonna die again. And now he's gonna get the boss key. And now Jasnix is on his way to the Great Tree through an iteration of reverse bit warping. See, that was right there. Okay.
Reverse. It's not reverse bit magic this time. Yes.
No. Okay, so I had to like connect my sound. It was weird. Yes, I'm panicking my world record. I think all these. I don't think any of these guys are on world record pace specifically. So I think I'm fine. Like I can see people's splits. I know Exto is about 2 minutes behind his PB.
Where did he lose 2 minutes?
I don't even know. I
Because
suspect at the start because he's been in this sort of pace for a while. But yeah. I know that like Tado is about like 30 seconds and losing time. Yeah. Yes, more Janon content. Yes, now both Exto and Tado are both putting the boss key in the boss door, quote unquote door. It's not really a door, but
yeah, it's like a sunroof.
Yeah.
And we're raising this so that we can get to the bird statue we need to reverse the orb into the great tree.
Yeah.
And Jasnix is on his way to go to the great tree and back in time.
Yeah.
Just heading to the sky.
There's still a lot that can happen in this. Most notably is right at the end you can bonk on the tree and you can not do the warping successfully, which would mean you have to do all again. So,
which you'd have to do the entire back in time section again, which would be very slow. You'd lose like 3-4 minutes.
Yeah. So even though it looks like Jasnix has a somewhat clear lead, it still could be anyone's game, I think.
Yeah, it could be. If he fails it. But even
if Jasnix wins, I'm still up, because this is literally 54 minutes in. This is like still a really good pace for it to be a race, so
yeah.
This will be very interesting, to be honest. Like it'll be a definitely very interesting semi-finals on my part, I think. Because both of these runners are very good in their own right, so yeah.
Because I'm definitely now going against Tado in semifinals, and honestly, I'm considering just running it on English because I don't want to fail the break slides.
I think if you have English and you're against an English opponent, it's definitely the best bet because there's no disadvantage.
Yeah.
There's no. Like,
I know Jasnix was talking about that on one of his streams once. That he's gonna run English against Exto because Exto runs English and he's scared of failing the break slide.
Yeah,
which
I have no choice. I have to run JP because I have PAL.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna run JP against you.
Yeah. I mean, I could just have the 2.5 minute head start, but that's just I still have to do the break slides and B. That just no.
That would suck.
I mean, actually, the 2.5 break slide, the 2.5 minutes head start, that would just put me right back where Japanese is, so there's no point.
Yeah, it would just be more painful.
Because I still have the break slides.
Lower text.
Yeah. Yeah, so I personally have no choice, so yeah. I think
so
I have a fit, yeah.
Like
that looked good. We'll see though.
Yeah, looks good.
Oh yeah, he got the void out. So
very nice.
This looks like it could be good for Jasnix, but if Exto is quick enough, if Exto is quick enough and Jasnix dies at the wrong way to the keys, I still think Jasnix would win, to be honest, because it's still actually quite a fight.
Yeah, he's probably going to win it.
I think Jasnix would literally have to fall off the tree to lose at this point, which I have actually done. Like, the keys can knock you with a very bad angle, and you could just yeet it. You just get yeeted off the thing.
Even falling off the tree doesn't even lose that much time because
you could just die.
Yeah. You will die if you fall that far, and then you just respawn right at the great tree loading zone.
Well, that said, though, I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was because I had 6 hearts at the time, but I actually fell off the tree and I just stayed alive. But again, I think it's because I had 6 hearts. So I'm pretty sure Jasnix could take this right now. He just has to. He could miss all his.
He fails Yerbal like 18 times. Oh, he's gonna whip Yerbal. And
Jasnix finishes. Kick me. Yeah. So even with Exto doing all of his all the fast.
Yeah, it looks like he successfully reverse bit warped.
Yeah, I was really fast as well. So.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, did he get the
fast.
void out? I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. But he had.
Okay, it didn't matter either way.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Tato. Oh, okay.
Alright.
Tato
Yeah,
doesn't have the slingshot. Okay, it's fine now.
Okay.
And yeah, Jasnix, how was your run?
So, in terms of actual gameplay run, this was amazing. This is a ridiculously good run. I didn't make many movement mistakes really. Like, I guess if I was gonna save
Yeah,
time,
that was pretty
it was
solid.
like Janin, but
Yeah.
Janin, like I didn't get cutscene skip. I sat him back into the trigger, which was funny. But
yeah, we saw that. I was like, that was sad.
but that would have been, yeah. If I got that, this would have been a 55. The final time was 57:24.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a really good run, and I'm happy. Like, this is a run I was hoping to get against Exto, and I'm happy that I ended up winning with it.
Yeah. And Exto
Yeah,
finished
that was
this,
also really close, actually.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was like insane. We got Exo in the thing now. GG.
GG.
GG Exto.
Congrats, Jasnix. Again.
Yeah, these are two rematches, and they both turned out the exact same as they did previously, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was your run, Exto?
It was pretty bad, honestly. Like, no cutscene skip, no extending blow, so it already sucks.
I feel like, well, here's the thing. Now we're at a point in the tournament where it's basically if you don't get sub 1, you'll virtually have lost the match. So this is now very
Definitely.
interesting because now, like, I think towards the beginning of this category, or beginning of this tournament even, sub 1 was kind of a very rare occurrence. Like if you had it, you were like a gold. But now it's like it's mandatory to even win a match. I think.
Yeah, sub 1's free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
now
much.
it's much more free.
It's definitely free.
My first
Yeah, I
match
mean, you
with
could-
Exto was like a 106 versus a 104, so
Well, I mean, my match
Yeah.
with TJ was a
something and get
104
a
versus
sub
101.
I
one
should have
so-
bopped this guy into losers when I had the chance the first time.
you had the
Yeah.
chance.
Bitwarp said no.
So yeah, we got Tato in here. So yeah, how was your run?
It was actually pretty bad all around, but then we agreed to activate Janin, so I was just vibing with Janin for like a minute and a half. So yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
still got
really
sub-
didn't get any best
still got sub
segments. So I just played meh the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, still got sub
Yeah.
1. So yeah, definitely very interesting. So that basically means that so now we basically have Jasnix and Tado both move on to the single elimination bracket, and Exto and Zuful Billing are both now out of the tournament.
High five, Tato.
Yeah.
Also,
Pick apart.
I should probably mention this. I was on English this run.
Yeah.
There's a good chance I'm going to be on English for the rest of the tournament.
Yay.
It's just the better choice, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I have no choice because I got like
Yeah.
fucking PAL, which is the same, just with a handicap of a language.
And we're fine.
Oh yeah, it's like problem with running against someone in English is I have to get those quick slides first time, otherwise it's bad. So now we have so basically in the single nation for the semi-finals we now have me versus Jasnix, which is going to be an absolute
And me versus Tato.
yeah. So both are going to be pretty close matches, and there's no telling who the two will be the two ending up in
Yeah.
the finals.
This will be exciting.
English versus the JP.
Yeah,
Hopefully it
both of
doesn't
them are
end up-
English versus JP.
Hopefully it doesn't
Honestly,
end
I'm
up
probably
kinda
gonna-
coming down to
Well, look, yeah.
get cutscene skip and extending blow.
I'm
Yeah.
probably
Although
gonna
as
go
times
on
get
English
faster and
with
faster
Tato.
and people get better and better, then
Yeah.
the races unfortunately are going to tend in that direction.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I think how much does extending blow save over English? I know because I know Jasnix got it and you didn't.
On
That's
English,
a
it
lot of
saves around a
time, like
minute.
50 seconds.
Oh, yeah. EB saves 51 seconds.
Sorry,
But
51.
for Japanese, since they have to get the log, it only saves about 27 seconds.
Okay, so I mean, I think even if you both got extending blow, it wouldn't matter because Exo you probably still lost by like 20 seconds.
Yeah, if you both get extending blow, it's about even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Exo
Great.
lost
In
anyway.
English, both get EB, then it's about
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I had a lot of like really dumb stuff. Like I accidentally just decided to go up an extra floor in the ancient cistern, and then so
Yeah,
because of
that
that,
was
I had to take another forced death. I also avoided out and back in time by just like walking off the ledge. It was really.
That's
Nice.
I don't think I've ever actually done that before.
But during my Skyward Spit
Welcome
Warp,
to the
I
club.
somehow grabbed a heart. Like I jumped down and I grabbed a heart, and I was a little scared because I knew I couldn't get off the splash screen there because I would have lost. I think I would have lost the duping something. I don't know. But I was really
Yeah.
scared I had lost. I just like lost the run there.
Well, you
It
haven't
is-
actually
it is
duped the
for a
file yet,
moment.
right?
That's
Look-
true.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
doesn't
dupe the file.
matter.
Yeah, so you
It
just
can
have to
all
go
the
back to the
flash-
splash
If it was
screen.
before the save, then it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you just reselect file 1 and then go back to the splash screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, again,
About it.
yeah, just to reiterate, we got Florian and Todo and me and Jasnix are the semi-finalists, and they will be scheduled soon. They'll probably happen later this week, actually, or later next week. I mean, it's just the weekend,
Right.
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Alright, so gonna wrap up here. I want to thank our runners. Thank you to Exto and Jasnix and Tato ISR and 64-bit Link. Thank you for the awesome race. And GG's. Thank you to KitKart and Threyad for commentating for us. Coming up on ZSR at 6 p.m. EST, we have the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard Weekly Race. And at 10 p.m. tonight, we have the Zelda 2 Randomizer Weekly Race. And then tomorrow, I'm just going to do like the first 3 races here because we have a lot of stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. is the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Weekly Race for the European time zones. At 10 a.m. tomorrow is the Random Settings League for Ocarina of Time, which is the lower bracket round 6 between Emo Soda and Kirox. And at 12 p.m. we have the Season 4 of the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Tournament between Namaha and Seisei. The capitalization there always throws me off. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the schedule for tomorrow, so go ahead and check that out. I put a link in the chat. Yeah, I'm not going to spend minutes going over all this stuff. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you all had a great time, and have a fantastic rest of your day.